Welcome to Jurassic Park. Nah, this is episode 3 of our 10-day road trip through the Northern Territory. Be sure to check out episodes 1 and 2 if you missed them, where we visited some of the highlights of the trip, like swimming in some of the bluest water at Manaranka Hot Springs, and then going kayaking through some of the oldest land we've ever seen in Catherine Gorge. In this episode, we'll be heading into the depths of Kakadu National Park. The first stop is Jim Jim Falls, and then we'll be going on the sunrise cruise through yellow water Billabong. My good mate from Melbourne, Lukey Delahaye, tagged along for another hike today. Also helped out with a bit of handy filming, so cheers for that, brother. Yeah, no worries, bloke. That's definitely not what he sounds like. He sounds like this.
Here we go, what have we got here?
Anyways, we started off the day with a pretty lengthy and rough ride into these falls from the Kakadu Highway. It's about 60 kilometres on a rough corrugated dirt road and then about a 10 kilometre four-wheel drive track, so you definitely need more than a camper van to get here. From the car park, it's then about an hour walk to the base of the plunge pool, or a couple of hours up to the top for the more experienced hikers, but it was about 40 degrees when we went, and the waterhole at the end of this hike was hands down my favourite waterhole to swim in this whole trip. It was actually really cool, just being surrounded by like these, I think they call them sooty grunters, or black brim, and just floating on your back in a waterhole that's like 70 metres deep, that just plunges down into the deepest, darkest green, and then just being surrounded by these cliff faces, which are over 300 metres in height, just absolutely dwarf you, and it's just the most trippy experience. Jim Falls. What an experience that was, eh?
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
9.
Solid 9. I'll give it a 9.5.
No water coming down.
After a massive morning of hiking at Jim Falls, we headed back to our accommodation to drop Lukey off, as he had a footy game to play later that night back in Darwin. But we were lucky enough to spot a few dingoes on the side of the highway, which was pretty cool. Dingoes! Good morning. In typical Jake and Zoe style, we're late for the sunrise cruise. I've had to drop her off, but I think the fucking boat's already left. Back. We made it. Just in time. I think everyone's angry with us. To be fair though, the website did say 6:45. I figured it must leave at about 7, but yeah, they were pretty strict on the fact that it left at 6:45. Now, I didn't manage to get a whole lot of footage of animals on this trip. The GoPro's not great for, zooming in anyway, but my parents were very kind enough to lend me their old Canon 40D. It's about 10 or 12 years old, which is relatively old now for a camera, but it still takes some killer shots, so check these out. So the Yellow Water cruise goes for about 3 hours and departs basically from Cooinda Lodge where we were staying. So that's just another reason to stay there. And it costs about $80. So make sure you book online before you come, make this a highlight, and actually plan your Kakadu trip around this experience. The next step on our trip through Kakadu is to a place called Nourlangie Rock. This sacred site has been called Nourlangie by the Warrimal clan for tens of thousands of years. Nourlangie is an area where families and clans would all come together to share stories, exchange knowledge, and to teach the younger generations how to hunt, paint on the rocks, and where to find bush tucker native to this area. We spent about an hour or two here just walking around all the galleries, but there is also a hike which goes for about 12 to 15 kilometres for the more experienced hikers if you're up for it. If you do ever happen to come to Kakadu, make sure you do this.
Yeah, you need one of these.
Bring a fucking fly net, because it's just out of control. If you happen to get here early enough, be sure to head straight to a place called Nourlangie Lookout, which offers world-class views out across Arnbang Bang Billabong and the beginning of the Arnhem Land escarpment while the sun comes up. Just outside of Jabiru, you'll find another sacred rock art site called Ubirr. This site was by far the most impressive art site in all of Kakadu. The paintings here date between 20 to 40,000 years old, which is about 10 times the age of the pyramids. It also makes this artwork some of the oldest and longest historical records of any group and culture of people on Earth. At this site here, there's paintings on the ceiling which are about 15 to 20 metres high. It's believed that the Mimi spirits lived in the cracks of the rocks and would come out during the night just to paint on the ceilings. Now that's pretty cool if you're into spirituality, and I totally respect the Aboriginal culture and their history. However, I still can't seem to think about the cheeky buggers who abseiled over the edge and painted this during the night and yeah, pretty much just did it to screw with the rest of the clan maybe. I don't know, but yeah, that's my theory behind it. When we managed to scale to the top of the mountain, it was actually a pretty overcast afternoon, so the sunset wasn't the greatest, but be sure to stop in at Jabiru and get some snacks and beers, chill out on the top and watch the rest of the day go by while you're looking out over the Arnhem Land escarpment. And that's it for episode 3 of our Northern Territory road trip. Be sure to keep posted and subscribe for the final leg of our trip where we head back to Darwin to check out some awesome street art and then to Mindle Beach Markets for sunset on our final days.